Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Kari here, back again with another video for y'all. Thank y'all for staying locked into my channel. If you haven't already, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to drop a comment for your boy, all right? Now, with no further ado, let's get into today's topic. Today's video is going to be all about how jobs in corporate America can wear you down. And this is a 2020 update to the video I did, maybe I think in 2019, about why I left corporate America, right? So it's been a few years, it's time to update some of that information. So let me just give y'all a little background. I left corporate America in 2019. I was working in the States, and I moved to Colombia, Medellin, in 2019, about 4 months before the pandemic started. And then, I was just doing my own thing, kind of working independently and so on and so forth. And I just kind of discovered a new way of life, you know what I mean, when I took a step out of corporate America. And, I was working for a big tech company, which I know a lot of my viewers are probably working for big tech. But today I just want to talk about a few other ways or things that can really wear you down mentally when it comes to corporate America, which makes it a tough job to do, you know what I mean? So the first big ticket thing is going to be having a manager. So having a manager can create like this weird power struggle, in my opinion. It doesn't always end up like that, but a lot of times it is like that. Because for a lot of people, it can be challenging to try and have to please, someone else just because they're your manager. They may be qualified, they may be less qualified than you are, So that happens a lot in corporate America where, someone might be in position of power for reasons other than their qualifications or what they bring to the table. It might just be that they were there at the right time and they got into that position and they've been holding on to it, right? And then that can create a power struggle in the team within the manager and the employees and everything else. And then it's also mentally draining when that person in a lot of ways controls your future, controls your salary, controls your workload, controls the narrative around your work. You could be working your ass off, and to them they could just write it off and say he's below standards or below expectations or whatever. And you can't do much about it. It's just kind of how corporate America is. So that's the first big thing, man. It's a huge power struggle, in my opinion, when you have a manager. It can be. Now, I've had some good managers over my, about 6-7 years in corporate America. I've had some good managers that, were like night and day to the bad ones, so they're supportive, they try to get you promoted, they try to educate you and just have your back. Really, that's the big thing. You always want a manager that has your back, but nowadays, a lot of it's too much like throwing people under the bus. I've heard a lot of stories recently of like with friends of mine telling me that their manager is kind of wanting them to admit to mistakes and everything. And sometimes that's legitimate, right? Like if you do something wrong, you should admit it. But sometimes the manager might be trying to take the blame off of them for not maybe educating you on what you needed to do or something, right? So you got to keep in mind that a manager, to a certain extent, is responsible for your training and your level of, knowledge in whatever field you're working in, right? So let's get on to the second thing that I want to talk about when it comes to corporate America. Now, this may or may not apply to everyone, right? But for those that are in these types of roles, I definitely want to speak on it. So if you're in a client facing role, that can be a huge challenge in itself. It's something that I've done where I represent a company and let's just say I have a job to do for one of the clients of the company, maybe supporting them in the technology that they've purchased, or for the roles like client success manager, technical account manager, or let's see, solution architects, anything client focused, sales roles, right? All these types of roles can be very challenging because of the client aspect of it. Having to please a client, especially when they're in the tech world, we had clients that were spending over millions of dollars with us, and I'm gonna take a company that I did not work for because I don't want to speak on companies I worked for, but let's just say Microsoft, right? So let's say Microsoft sold AT&T a whole suite of, co-working products like Microsoft Teams, which features like their instant messaging, which features their version of Zoom video conferencing, and much more. Include, so say AT&T buys this software. So people from Microsoft, there's people that work for Microsoft that is their job to help the AT&T implement and use that technology, right? And these jobs are extremely challenging jobs. Thus is why they pay pretty damn good, though. So while they are challenging, I will say they are some of the higher paying jobs out there. So it's tough working, on the client end. I'll just say that. And even if you choose to leave corporate America, and you start your own business, don't think you're going to get away from working or having to please clients, right? Because you're going to have your set of people that pay you, right? Let's just say you do your own consulting or you do photography or videography. You have to please clients. So this is even amplified though when it comes to corporate, because they usually have a lot of goals that may be unrealistic. They may not take into account what's going on in the world, for example, a pandemic or something like that. When it comes to sales, anything sales related, I know and the companies I work for, they always had quotas, which means based on what you sold last year, you should sell a little bit more than what you sold last year. And these quotas never go down. So they're always getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So eventually what most salespeople do when they figure out they just can't meet the quota anymore, they have to leave and go somewhere else, because it's only going to result in them being under fire from their management, or just gonna make it a lot tougher for them. So they end up leaving. It's a very stressful working for clients. They're hard to please. They're not scared to throw you under the bus to save their ass. A lot of clients, they might not have their shit together on their end, but they'll hit your manager up and say like, so and so's not doing his job. So and so, blaming it on you when maybe they're just understaffed or something like that. So I've seen that happen a lot. Okay. Here's another thing when it comes to why corporate America can really wear you down. So there's a lot of time taken away from you from the things that really interest you, more than likely, right? Have you ever been hella busy and noticed the life of some people that are living carefree? Maybe they live with less, or sometimes they have income that they don't have to work a job for. Sometimes people survive off their looks. We've seen a lot of that in the last 10 years or so, etc. And even before that. But either way, there's a lot of people that are fortunate to the point where they don't have to work, whether it be living off their licks, whether it be living off their friends. Maybe they have rich friends, or maybe their parents are wealthy or something like that, or maybe they inherited a couple rental properties, which is what you should be trying to work on for your kids if you can. But it's not about being jealous of those people or being envious of those people, but when you are someone that's working a very stressful, hard job, and you see these types of things going on, people on boats in Miami or in Cartagena for, that's like the Miami for Colombia, right? Where I live. So when you see people like, just enjoying life and just live carefree, and you're stuck on your computer, stressing, writing back emails, getting on calls, sorting stuff out, it can be very, very just deflating. It can really deflate your emotions and put you in a bad state. Like, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I enjoy life like everyone else, and that type of thing? But it's important not to make it about, them, because just because someone's fortunate and they're living good, it's not that's not the cause of your pain. But it does make it harder for you to be able to focus on what you're doing. So that's why when I work, I would always turn off Instagram, just like put my phone somewhere where it's not around me, where I'm on my computer and stuff. That way, it's easier for me to focus, right? Because I start seeing all the stuff I like, all the parties going on and people everywhere. So now I want to talk a little bit about how to get out of the corporate struggle. Because I know a lot of you out there are looking to get out of the corporate struggle, are looking to become more financially stable, to have a future, to figure out this complex thing called life with the short time that you have to establish something for yourself and build it up. And so you have to, in my opinion, spend some time working on a passion, no matter what that is: music, art, photography, video games even, or it could be a whole bunch of different things. Even if you like cars, you could spend time fixing up people's cars, doing cool stuff with cars, and then figuring out how to monetize that, maybe creating an Instagram, for example, and building it up and networking with people that are in that community to get your whatever services you offer to do with cars, get the word out there, right? So you have to work on a passion, find something that you love, even if it's sports or something. There's a way to monetize a sports, even if you're not going to be professional. I'm sure there's a way. Start your own league, charge. I don't know, but you can figure it out if it's something you're passionate about, right? Another important thing to do is to look at ways to reduce your overhead. For me, one of my biggest ways of doing that was moving to Colombia. It was like killing 10 birds with one stone, because not only did I love Colombia, the weather, the food, just the lifestyle, but it's cheaper. So, for me, I was able to lower my overhead, not having to pay the price of an apartment in the States, which in Austin now, if you want to stay in the city, you're pretty much gonna be starting at the low end over like $1,200. And really, if you want a decent spot, you really should be looking to spend $2,000 to $2,500 really for a nice apartment in Austin. If you want like a downtown high rise, like balling out, then that's like $5 to $7 to $10 grand, And like, I'm looking at the prices of stuff in the States, and it was crazy before I left in 2019, but it's just like unbelievable. Like, even if you make $100 grand, you might take home on a monthly basis about six of that a month, $6 to $7 grand a month. And if you're paying $5 grand for rent, $4 grand for rent, even $3 grand for rent, that's half your money, all just on rent. And then you gotta pay bills, you gotta have a car, you gotta eat, you gotta go out, you probably want a gym membership, or it just goes on and on. So figure out ways to reduce your overhead. I'm not saying you have to move to Colombia, but maybe you move to a more rural place where you can get a house out there, and maybe put some solar panels on your roof so like your bills are lower. Just look into life hacks. I had a friend that I worked with back in Austin. He had like a chicken coop, right, in his backyard. Sounds crazy, but he would sell all the eggs to all his neighbors. He personally never had to go buy eggs. So I'm pretty sure it became a small money maker for him, right? So it's good to just look for ways to reduce your overhead. Find things that you can do at home that you might have paid for. If it comes to fixing something, see what instead of calling in trying to have someone do it for you, try to go on YouTube and see if you can figure it out yourself, especially when you're trying to start your own business, right? If you can learn how to do the social media posts, how to set up different advertisements or things like that, then you're going to save yourself a lot of money versus calling to have someone do it. Or if you need a photographer, if you learn how to do photography, watch a few videos and practice, put in a few hours, you could probably get the shot that you need, right? So yeah, just look for ways to save money, reduce your overhead. It's very important in today's world where if you just walk outside, somebody could be putting up a credit card machine to scan your card. It just seems like anything you do now, you have to pay for it. So, and it's crazy with the streaming services and everything. Like if you just want to watch TV, you're gonna have to pay somebody, or you're gonna have to go on the dark web. So that's a different story though. Another thing I want to talk about on the topic of how to get out of the corporate struggle is so important, man. I can't stress this enough. Invest, invest, invest. Okay, invest. Right? Like that's. I can't stress the importance of that, and the importance of starting as soon as possible. The sooner you start when it comes to investment, the more you're gonna have in a shorter, or not in a shorter amount of time, but on a certain date. Let's say you're 20 now, and then look, we're talking about when you're 40. So if you start investing at 20, you're gonna have a lot more when you're 40 than if you did if you started at 22. You know what I mean? Just those 2 more years of compounding interest goes a long way. It can end up in a double up. So I suggest that all you guys go look at some of these compound interest charts when it comes to investment, just to see how if time is on your side, and you don't have to put up all your money, right? Just put up as much as you can. But putting it into investments, stocks, crypto, real estate, anything, man, that is dependable, that you've done your research on, that you believe in, is super important for us. And I know a lot of people in my generation, they go to work, their bills are high, so they might not have that much left over, but it's on them to find a living situation that gives them a profit margin, right? Because if you're living and you're in the negative every month, of course you're not going to have any money to invest with. And you do that over 20 years, and you start when you're 40. By the time you're 60, it's not gonna be pretty for you, because when it comes to investing, this is something that really you need to start early. You don't have to. I mean, if you're 40 now and you have nothing invested, start now. But I'm hoping that I can get this point across to some of the people that are in those first jobs, fresh out of college. Do those 401k matches, do those things, open up you a Roth IRA account, do those types of things, and just make sure max that stuff out. I think you put $6,000 in the Roth IRA a year. So that's not that much. Like if you just max out your Roth IRA, max out your 401k, and then, try to get you a rainy day fund, and then also buy some stocks and crypto whenever you can. Then, like when you get your taxes, when you get these big sums of money, maybe you get a bunch of money for Christmas, don't go throwing it away. Put it into some type of investment, okay? So the next thing I want to touch on is just to stay hungry for new information, okay? Especially information that can help you make money, okay? And, just think about finding out about crypto and understanding it 10 years ago. There were people that found out about it, did the work, put the work in, understood the technology, figured it would be something crazy, good, and profitable, and they got into it. So you got to be hungry for information and stay on the lookout for that next big thing. But don't be gullible. Always do your homework, and make sure that you believe in whatever you want to put your money in. I can't say that enough. Now, when it comes to corporate America, I got to say this too. You guys got that. I realize a lot of people can't just quit their job today. They have too much invested there. They maybe done move to a whole new city. It would leave them in a very bad position if they were to just quit today. And that's not what my video is about anyway. I'm not here to tell you to quit your job or anything like that, but I'm just saying, I think if anything, you should try to set some limits and stick to your limits, right? And when it comes to corporate, to me, there's like 3 different types of people in corporate. There's the person that's trying to climb the corporate ladder, right? There's the person that, and that person that's trying to climb the corporate ladder, is going to get their MBA. Like, they're all in on moving up in corporate. You know, they want to be on that VP level, that CEO level, and hopefully they'll make it there one day. Then there's the person that is in corporate and they're like an individual contributor, like a low level position, not a manager, not a VP or anything like that. And they just like that, you know, they're fine with having to pay most of their money and their bills every month. They're fine with whatever they got going. Maybe they're just comfortable. A lot of the people that I worked with in corporate, they had their family already. They were very, you know, this conversation is a lot easier to have when you're not in having a family, a wife and kids. You haven't bought your first house yet, or, you know, whatever. You're not so invested in something that you can't quit, right? Because a lot of people, they're like between 30 and 40 and 50, right? And these people, they have a whole life going on. They got kids depending on them. So a lot of them, they go to work and, you know, they're kind of numb to it, right? Like they probably want to quit, but it's like they're just so used to all the dependencies they have. So they kind of put up with it and they're fine with it, right? And they're happy. They just want to go see their kids play baseball on the weekend and go to Disney World every once in a while, you know. But then there's people that have bigger dreams. And I think the third group is like the misunderstood group. And I fit into that group where it's like, I'm good at corporate. I could focus my whole life on climbing the corporate ladder. Or I could just be comfortable, right? And just sit there and just deal with it. But I was really uncomfortable, actually. So I think this third group is like the misfits in corporate. Like, they're there, they have the qualifications, they could do the job, but they feel like they're a square in a circle. Or trying to fit into a circle as a square. And that's how I felt. So I had to make some changes. So, you know, that's where I'm at with it. I just wanted to bring this video to you guys, and I hope it starts a really good, interesting conversation. I hope a lot of you guys start getting into investing if you haven't already. I'm happy to help coach you on any investing. You can hit me up on Instagram at cry.hq. I could even talk to you about specific steps that will help you get out of corporate, because I know I had to do the research, I had to put in the work. I didn't just move to Columbia. I did a lot of research, I did a lot of planning, and that's why I never missed a beat. Like, I was never broke, you know what I mean? Like, throughout the whole transition, I was never down bad in a horrible position where I needed to call somebody to ask for some money or no shit like that. So, you know, it's very important that you do the planning piece of it. And there's a lot of things that you may not anticipate, right? So having a coach or somebody that can help you through that can maybe bring a different perspective to the conversation can be very helpful when you're trying to make a big move like that. I highly recommend it. So it doesn't have to be me, but if you want to talk to me, cry.hq, hit me up on Instagram. And y'all go check out the other corporate video on my channel. Just search for Corporate America. You'll see it'll pop right up. So with that, I'm just gonna ask that y'all hit that like button, comment on this video if you got something to say, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, man. Show your boy some love. All right, I'm out. Peace.